Daf Kaf Amud Aleph. As the Gemara challenge brings another question to Shmuel. Metive. Asavim shetlashan v'hinichan bechalon. If we have grass that was plucked and placed in an opening, we're still talking about the same thing, a room where is a death in the room, and it on the opening is the question is what can block obstruct the tumah from passing through this opening. Donc asavim shedlashan v'nechan bechalon, the grass that was plucked and placed in the opening, or shalom me'alen bechalon, or grass that grew in this opening, umatloniot she'en vahen shalosh al shalosh, or scraps of fabric that do not measure 3 by 3 טווחים. והעבר והבשר המדולדלים בבהמה וחיה, or a partially limb or flesh dangling from an animal or a beast, ועוף ששכן בחלון, or a bird resting in an opening, ועובד כוכבים שישב בחלון, or a guy that is sitting on this opening, או בן 8 המונח בחלון, or a baby born of 8 months lying in this opening, just beside the baby born in 8 months is considered that non-viable at the at the time of the Gemara. A baby that was born at the 8th month of pregnancy was considered almost dead. They consider that he could not live more than 30 days. That's what not the case if he was born in the 7th month or in the 9th month. Only in the 8th month, Ben Shmona is considered like already dead. We will see in a few minutes. The Gemara will bring a writer. והמלח or salt, וכלי חרס or an earthenware vessel, וספר תורה or ספר תורה, כולם ממעטים בחלון. Everything here can reduce the size of the opening to obstruct the tumah. אבל השלג והברד, הגליד, הכפור והמים, but snow, hail, frost, ice and water, כולן אין ממעטים בחלון. Everything, all of these, do not reduce the size of the opening. So now the Gemara which take each of the these things that were brought down to ask Shmuel. But the grass is fit to use for use as fodder for an animal, so it's likely to be removed. So why this grass reduce the size of the opening? Like Master don't say afrasta. We're dealing with afrasta. Afrasta basically is just a poisonous grass. So we don't use it to feed animal. Or grass that grew by itself in the opening. When the grass grew on the wall, we want to remove it from the wall. So this thing is meant to be removed. So why does it reduce the size of the opening? As the Gemara answers and says no. Amar Rabbi. The Baraita is talking about a wall that offer rain, where we are not concerned about damaging this wall or not. And Rabbi says another answer. Even in the wall of a building that is used as a residence. Or maybe we are talking about a case when the grass comes from beyond 3 tvachim from the wall into the opening of the wall, and then we don't remove it from the opening because it's not in the opening, but it's only that the roots are far from the opening. That's why we just leave the grass like that, and it can reduce the size of the chalon. As matloniot, the scraps of fabric, you can use these scraps to patch a tear in the garment if we need. As the Gemara says no, bismichta, we have the Baraita refers to something thick that can be used to patch a tear. As the Gemara said and say okay, but chazule umana, these scraps are fit to use for a bloodletter to clean the wound. As the Gemara said and said no, beriska is something that is the scraps are made of sackcloth that can irritate the wound and on the skin. So the Umana, the blood letter, would not use it. As the Gemara asks and said, if the Barita refers to sackcloth, why does the Barita say that the size of this scrap are 3 by 3? שאין בהן 4 על 4 האלה, it should be, they do not measure 4 by 4 טפחים, not 3 by 3. Because if it's the size of something that does not מקבל טומאה, so for the clothing, if we have a scrap of fabric, it depends of the size to make it to be מקבל טומאה or not. If it's little enough, that you do not מקבל טומאה, but if it's more than 3 finger and 3 finger, it is מקבל טומאה. But if it's a fabric, something that is that can be used as a clothing because it can irritate the skin or something else, then the required size to be מקבל טומאה is 4 טפחים and 4 טפחים. As the Gemara says, no, it's ke'en riska. It's a fabric that is like sackcloth, but not really sackcloth. That's why the Braita told that it's only 3 digit and 3 digit and not 4 טפחים. Next case, a limb or a piece of flesh dangling from an animal or a beast. As the animal will run away. As the Gemara says, no, Bikshura is an animal that is tied up to the opening. It cannot move. The Gemara asks and say that the owner of the animal will shachitle, he will slaughter it and then eat it. As the Gemara says, no, Bitmea, we're talking about a non-kosher animal. As Mizaben Elenochi, we can still sell it to a goy. Bikrusha, no, it's an animal that is a gaunt animal, which is not, it doesn't worth it to be slaughtered or to be sold for food. That's Pasik Shadel Klavim. Anyway, the owner of this animal can still cut off this animal and throw it to the dogs. As the Gemara says and say, since if the owner wants to remove this partially several limb, it would cause pain to this animal with tsar balechaim. As he would not do it. So this animal is abandoned in this opening, and that's why you can reduce the size of the opening. A bird resting in an opening, he will fly away. One says answers in the same way. Bekashur, it's a bird that is tied up. As shachitle, he can slaughter it. No, betame, it's a non-kosher bird. That's Mezabel Enochi, he will sell it to a goy. As Bekanita, the Braita refers to a kanita. Kanita is a very thin bird that people don't eat it. As Yahiv Le'Yunuka, you can give it to a child that so the child can play with this bird. Gemara says no, bimsaret. This is a bird that can scratch the child and it can endanger the child. That's why we would not give this bird to the child. As Gemara asks, no, but klanita lo mesarta. You told that we were talking about klanita, that is the bird that cannot be eaten because it does not profit. But this kind of bird does not scratch, so you can use it to give it to the child. What's the matter with that? As the man says and said, no, it's kien kanida. It's not this exact bird that does not crash and also is not eaten. It's a kind of bird that yes scratches, so it can endanger the child, but also it's a kind of bird that is not fit to be eaten. So that's why we leave it like that in the opening. A guy sitting in the opening, he will just get up and go away. As the master say, no, bekafut, it's a person, a guy who is tied up to the opening. As a anyway, someone else will come and untie him so he could go. As the master in the Metzora, it's someone who is leprous, so no one will approach him. As Atem Metzora it's not a problem because another one who is also leprous can come and untie him. The Gemara accepts this objection and brings another explanation. Ela, rather, we're talking about something else. It's someone who is imprisoned by the king or by the kingdom. So no one will come to untie him because they fear from the kingdom if they untie one who is prisoner of the king. A baby born of 8 months lying in an opening. As Acha Ime, Dariale, Al Gemara says, anyway, the mother of the baby will come and carry it away. As the Gemara answers and says, no, we're talking about a case that is, we're dealing with something that is in Shabbat, during Shabbat. Why? Because Tanya, we have a barita that says, Ben Shmona Beshabbat, Ariu Keven Ve'asur Letaltelo. A baby born in the 8th month of pregnancy is considered during Shabbat like a stone on his muktzeh, because he's not considered a human being, he's not considered a living being, because he will die. That was the case at the time of the Gemara. But his mother can bend over it to nurse it. Why? Because it can be dangerous for the mother not to feed his baby if the milk it can bring a lot of problems if she does not nurse his baby. But it's not for the baby, because the baby is considered during Shabbat like a stone. It's really muktzeh. We can do anything. So if in Shabbat we have a baby like this in the opening, we can't touch it. So that's why it reduces the size of the opening and it obstructs the tumah. Now, melach, the salt, as the Gemara says, chazale, we can use the salt for everything. So why it can it reduce the size of the opening? The Gemara says, we are talking about bitter salt, not the usual salt, but even bitter salt. Chazale, we can use it for tanning hides. The Gemara says, no, the idbakotze, it's a salt in which there are thorns, so we can't use it. That's Gemara asks, okay, but kevan de kashala kotel shakla, the salt can cause damage to the wall, so we will remove this salt. Why are we saying that that the salt will stay there in the opening? Gemara says no, but the yatva achaspa, the salt is on an earthenware, he is not directly in contact with the wall. As the Gemara says on the why don't we say that the shards of earthenware itself should obstruct the passage of Tuma? Why are we talking about the salt that is inside? As the Gemara says and say no, the lead by Shura, because the shard is too small to obstruct the Tuma. Kiditnan, as we learn in one Mishnah, that cheres, that the minimum size of an earthenware to be considered like a real object that we can't transport during Shabbat is kedeliten ben patzim lechadero. It has to be large enough to place between one slat and one another slat in the windows. Now, kli cheres, an earthenware vessel, chazele, we can use it for everything. As you answer and say, no, the mitana, if it's something that is soil, it's dirty, so we can't use it to keep food or everything. That's chazele. Now it can also be used by a bloodletter to catch the blood from the wand. As you answer says, no, the it's dirty and also it is perforated, so it's really useless. And then in the final case of the Barita, Sefer Torah, Chazer Torah, Chazer Micha, Chazer Sefer Torah, we can use it to read the Torah in the Sefer. As the Gemara said, no, it's Bebalui. It's a Sefer Torah that is already used and it is also worn out. We can't use it anymore. As the Gemara said, the Sefer Torah like that must be taken and put into the Gniza. The Gemara answered and said, no, Shante Gnizata, the owner of the Sefer Torah decided that this place in this opening would be the Gniza of the Sefer Torah. That's why the Sefer Torah will stay there, or it can reduce and block the Tumah. Amar Rav. Rav said, Bakol osin mechitza chutz mimelach urvav. We can use everything to make a mechitza, a wall, except salt and fat. Why? Shmuel said, afilu melach even salt, we can use it to make a mechitza, to make a wall between two neighbor, two people, enfin during Shabbat, enfin to separate two reshuyot during Shabbat, or to block from the Tum'ah. Amar Papa said, V'lo pligei Rav Shmuel are not in machloket. Ha b'melach zdomit. It depends if we're talking about melach zdomit, the salt from Sodom, which is hard and thick. Ha b'melach istroknit. On the other side, Rav that say that we can use that we can't use the salt to bring a wall. He's talking about the istrucum salt that it is a salt that is loose, so it can be fit to. We can't use it to make a mechitza or something, a separation. But the melach domit, we have the wife of Lot that is we have something. We have a lot that is made from salt from the salt from Sodom, so it's something that is really hard and can be. We can make wall with a salt like that. The Hashad Amar Rabba now, the Rabbi said, Ose Adam Shni Tziburei Melach, the person makes two piles of salt at each side of the entrance of the Mavoy during Shabbat, before Shabbat, but just for about the Alechot Shabbat. Umeniach Aleim Korah, we can then place a crossbeam over them or on this pile of salt. Because the salt supports the crossbeam. The crossbeam keeps the salt in place. Even with the melach histrokanit, the histrokan salt, we can do it. And we can say that Rav and Shmuel do not disagree. It depends if we have a korah, if we have a crossbeam that can hold this salt in place. The other ruling, the ruling of Rav that says that it's from we can't use a salt wall, applies when in the case that we don't have a crossbeam to hold the salt in place. Okay, now the Gemara goes back to the Mishnah. We must distance a meal from at least 3 tefachim from the wall of the neighbor. 3 tefachim, if we measured this tefachim from the lower millstone of the meal, and which is shehen arba from the upper millstone. Azuma asks, Maitama, what is the reason why we should distance the meal from the neighbor's wall? It's Mishum Tiria. It's because of the vibration that are caused by the meal that can damage the wall of the neighbor. But we have a Baraita that says, Veshel Chamor Shosha Min Istrubil. We should distance 3 tefachim from a neighbor wall, a meal that is powered by a donkey that pushes the meal, but only 3 tefachim measured from the wooden framework that encircles the base of the meal, which is equivalent to 4 tefachim from the wall measured from the hopper. As the Gemara asks, on the Hatam, in the case of a donkey powered meal, there is no vibration, because it's really smaller, and then it does not have the same vibration and the same potential to damage the wall. As the Gemara accepts this objection and says, rather, why a meal should be distanced from the wall is because of the noise that is produced by using this meal. And we can at the end of the Mishnah, it said that we should distance an oven at least 3 tefachim from the wall, measured from the lower base the base of the oven, which is 4 tfachim from the upper rim of the base of the tanur. The tanur was shaped as like a triangular shape. Azamar Rabbi said, Shma mina kalya de tanur tefach. We can learn from this that an oven's base protrude 1 tefach in the base from the upper rim. Nafkamina lemikach umemkar. What is the nafkamina? The implication from this, it's during mekach umemkar, for buying and selling. That if one says that he buys or he sells an oven, this oven has to correspond to this size, to have 1 tefah difference between the base and the upper rim, and if not, the buyer or the seller can go to the one and say it's mekataut. It's not a real. I can just give you back this oven, and I'm not entitled to keep it. Now, new Mishnah. לא יעמיד אדם תנור בתוך הבית. A person may not set up an oven in a house, אלא אם כן יש על גביו גובה 400, unless there are at least 4 amot of space above this oven. היה מעמידו בעלייה. If one sets an oven in an upper story, צריך שיהיה תחתיו מעזיבה 3 טפחים. There must be a layer at least of 3 טפחים of plaster or on the ground. Ubechira tefar. But if we're talking about a stove in a upper story, it's not like an oven. We can only have 1 tefach thick of ground. Vemizik. But if, despite this precaution, he damaged the property of another one, Mishalem Mashizik, he must pay for the damage that he did. Rabbi Shimon Omer, but Rabbi Shimon says, Lo amru kol hashurim alelu. Rabbis did not state all these measurements from distancing the oven or the stove and everything. It's only to render patur, to exempt the one that can cause damage in the case he was good with this distancing and he did everything that he had to do. If it's the case, then one is exempt from paying for damage because he took all his precautions, so it's like an honest. לא יפתח אדם חנות של נחתומים ושל טבעין. So a person may not open a bakery or a dye shop תחת אוצרו של חברו under the storeroom of his fellow. ולא רפת בקר, or nor he can't open a cattle barn under a storage room from his חברו. As there is one exception for this rule, באמת, in truth, each case that we say באמת, it's הלכה משה מסיני. ביין יתירו, in the case of wine, the rabbi permitted one to open a bakery or a dye shop beneath the storage room of the wine of the people. אבל לא רפת בקר, but not a cattle barn. Says the Gemara, והתניא, but we have a barita which says, בתנור 4, we need, regarding an oven that is placed in an upper story, we need at least 4 tfachim thick of plaster beneath this oven. Ubekira shlosha, but it's a kira stove. We need 3 tfachim. But in the Mishnah, we said that for an oven we need 3 tfachim, and for the stove we need only 1 tefach. As the Gemara answers and says, Abaye Amar, Kitanya ha'i bin natomim. The Baraita was talked in reference to the oven and stove of the bakers. The oven and stove of the baker are constantly lit, and that we need more precaution than their usual, the regular oven and stove that for every people. The tanur jidan, and our ovens, the oven that is referred to in the Mishnah by the Mishnah, kikira denartomim, it's equivalent to the stove of the baker because it's bigger than the regular stove. But so that's why we only need 3 tfachim. But for our kira, our stove, that is really smaller and is not lit every time, but we need only 1 tefach. As the Mishnah said, לא יפתח חנות, one may not open a bakery or cattle barn or there someone else storeroom. אז תנא, there is a תנא that taught ברייתא. אם הייתה רפת קודמת לאוצר, מותר. If the cattle barn preceded the storage, the storeroom, it's permitted to maintain this cattle barn. We don't have to close the cattle barn to protect the storeroom that one may put above. As Abaye asked about that. Kibet veribet laotzar ma'u. If the owner of the repertory swept his roof and sprinkled water to settle the dirt in preparation for it, to use it as a storage place, but he did not start to use it as a storage place. As in the meantime, what is the law? Someone does someone has a right to open a cattle barn below or no? Riba b'chalonot ma'u. In the same way of thinking, if he increased the number of windows in the upper story, that's to say that he showed that he intends to use it as a storage room, but before he stored anything, someone wanted to establish below a cattle barn. Ma'u, what is the law in this case? Achsarat achat haotzar, ma'u, if there is a pavilion beneath the storeroom, what is the law? Bana aliyah al gabe beto, if he built an upper room on top of his house, what is the law? Everything that we talked about in the meantime, he in each case he started to show that he would like to use this space as a storeroom, but before he stored anything, someone came and opened a cattle barn. So what is the gene in these cases? My conclusion on the just said teku. We don't have the answer to this question, and this question will just remain unresolved. Ravuna, the son of Rabbi Yoshua, asked also another question. Tamre verimone mai. If he began by storing only dates on pomegranates in the upper story, what is the law? What is the question of Ravuna? Is because maybe in the Mishnah we're only talking about real storage with something that is of value, like wine or oil or something like that. But if it's only fruits, maybe it's not a problem to open a cattle barn below. But maybe if one has just stored pomegranates, dates, or everything, it's in order to afterwards bring wine or oil or something. That's a question of Ravuna. Do we consider yes or no regarding the storage? As I conclude the same way and said teku. So now we are going to the final section of the Mishnah. Be'emet, in truth, in the case of storeroom that contains wine, it's permitted to open a bakery or a dye shop in there. Astana, we have a barita that said, in the case of wine, the sage permitted to open a bakery or a dye shop. Why? Because the smoke that comes from the bakery or the dye shop would improve the wine. But it's forbidden to open a cattle barn. Why? Because it imparts a foul odor in the wine, and the wine will be damaged. Amar Rav Yosef said, Haijidan, our wine, even the smoke of a candle is harmful to it. So it depends of the type of wine we are talking about, or the type of wine who is stored in the storeroom above. Amar Rav Sheshet said, the aspasta kerefet bakardamia. Aspasta is a grass, a type of grass that they had in their at the time. And this aspasta has a strong odor, it's really strong, and it can damage as a cattle barn. It's the same thing. Now the Mishnah. If one wants to open a store in the courtyard, one of the other residents can block him and say, I cannot sleep due to the noise of your customers that go in and go out and go in and go out. I cannot sleep. So I don't want to. I can just place a veto and say I don't want you to open your store in the courtyard. אבל עושה כלים יוצא ומוכר בתוך השוק, but a courtyard resident may manufacture utensils in his home and then go out and sell them in the marketplace. ואינו יכול למחול בידו ולומר לו, and the other resident cannot block him and say, איני יכול לישון מכל הפטיש, he cannot sleep due to the noise of the hammer that you use to manufacture your utensils. ולא מכל הרחיים, or he cannot say, I cannot sleep due to the noise of the meal, ולא מכל התינוקות, or I cannot sleep due to the noise of the children and everything. So basically from the Mishnah, we see that if it's something that brings people from outside, other reason can do, we don't stand it, we don't want. But if it's something that someone do in his own property, he has every right. The Gemara asks this question and say, what is the difference between the first case of the Mishnah and the last case? In the last case, the Mishnah refers to the presence to another courtyard, to the presence of customer in another courtyard. We cannot block the entry of customer into something else, into somewhere else, but we can only block the entry of the customer in the courtyard where one resides. As Elmaleh Rava said to Abaye, Yachi, this is the case. Why the Mishnah doesn't say it's permitted to open a store in another courtyard or to bring the customers in another courtyard? As Rava rather brings his own explanation and says, at the end of the latter clause refers to one who wants to prevent school children to entering his courtyard to study Torah. And our Mishnah applies after the takana of Yehoshua ben Gamla. And what was this takana? This takana was that Yehoshua ben Gamla mandated the installation of teachers in every town. So in every town we need teachers to teach Torah. So with this decree, if one wants to open a school for children in his courtyard, other people of the other residents of this courtyard cannot block him and say, we do not want that children come in our courtyard because they will make noise and everything. So with this decree, this takanat of Yehoshua ben Gamla, the other resident cannot block him from opening his school.